people. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Tuesday, 17th of September, and in 2 days, Arsenal play Atalanta in Champions League. So, for today on the schedule, obviously, we have preview for Atalanta game. We have some news after the Arsenal game. We have some news with new striker links, which already is kind of mad if you ask me. And of course, there are some talks about few contract extensions, and we're gonna talk about few other things as well. So, if you're new around here, of course, don't forget to smash a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, get live, interactive in the chat. Let's talk about things, let's discuss things, let's get it going, as they say. So there will be definitely lots of stuff to talk about, lots of interesting things to discuss, and I hope that you are as excited as I am for these things. Big up BX Gunner in the chat. Big up, big up, big up, big up, big up, my guy. We're gonna kick things off with striker links, which is kind of wild because the transfer window just closed and we are already linked with someone else. So, according to Team Talk, which obviously you have to take with some pinch of salt at times, but overall, apparently, our Eintracht Frankfurt striker Omar Marmoush is keen to secure a Premier League move, with Liverpool, Arsenal, Crystal Palace and West Ham all interested. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I watch Bundesliga quite a bit. That is the first thing I must be honest with you, which is obviously kind of self-explanatory, and my camera has gone out of focus. What the hell are you doing? The issue with this is, I don't watch too much Eintracht Frankfurt or Wolfsburg, because I know he used to play for Wolfsburg. And I don't watch them too much on occasion, and when I were watching them, he hasn't played that much, or he hasn't been the main centerpiece, obviously. So, what we're gonna do, we're gonna look at his stats. Because somehow he doesn't strike me as a very big profile player, striker obviously, and I think more he could be like a improvement on Eddie, per se, Eddie Nketiah, and we should get a proper improvement on a striker. As you can see, his life, he has been at Stuttgart on loan, and he has been obviously gone for free from Wolfsburg to Eintracht Frankfurt this summer. Already in Bundesliga in 3 games, he has 3 goals and assists, which obviously could mean the reason why we are linked with him. Because everyone knows that Arsenal need a striker, and on top of that, in first 3 games he has secured quite a bit of points. I assume that would be the case. He is Egyptian, and his contract runs out in 3 years. So that is the first case. According to Transfermarkt, it's about 22 million euros, which is about 18 to 19 million pounds. And here are his stats for the seasons, obviously. For Wolfsburg, he didn't do much. However, he is 25. So if you call back 6 years, he was on, well, 5-6 years, he was only 19. So he had needed time to adjust and get used to it. He didn't play much because Wolfsburg at the time, I think, had Weghorst up top or something like that, and another striker which is now skipping my mind. So they loaned him out to Stuttgart, where he didn't do great. Then he played a season at Wolfsburg, but then he went to Eintracht Frankfurt, where he has done decently well, to be honest. In 29 games, 12 goals, 6 assists. Has played quite a bit of minutes, which means he could be kind of a starter, but this season he has started on fire. In 3 games, 3 goals and assists, and I think that is one of the big sole reasons why Arsenal have been mentioned in one of them. And to be honest, in a way also, take every striker link for Arsenal with some pinch of salt, mostly because, let's be real, Arsenal need a striker. Everyone in the world knows that. So get prepared to be linked with countless strikers during the transfer market, before transfers and everything, when before they open or when they are open, just because Arsenal needs them. That is the big reason. Just be prepared that Arsenal will be linked just because Arsenal needs them. That is the case. Obviously, a few days ago, we looked at Jonathan David, who I would much more prefer to Marmoush, let's be real, but it is what it is. Big up, coach. Big up, big up, big up. I'm great. I'm fan-freaking-tastic. Just had a very nice kebab, so I'm all over the moon. Let me know how you are. Never heard of him, no thanks. We had Chidobe, who could have been Eddie. Exactly, that is the big thing. If we've been off Chidobe Martin, basically for nothing, and now we take him into a place where he would cost about 20 to 25 million, well, I would say 25 million to 30 million, no thanks, let's be real. I much rather those 30 million just throw something on top and buy a proper striker. Let's be real. I don't think he's our main guy, definitely. Improvement on Teddy Nketiah? I don't think so as well, for one per se, because he just played in Bundesliga. In Bundesliga, many strikers look good. That is the big issue. Because Bundesliga don't have the high-low block defense, because most of the teams play very attacking football in a way. They have very wide defensive markers at times, depending, of course, against who you play. But it just, again, this screams to me wasted money. As always, as Arsenal tend to do in transfer windows, if we pull this deal off and we actually go for him for some weird goddamn reason, this screams to me wasted money. Now, if you want to look at this a bit better, let's do it like this. So we're going to kind of do this, we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this. Something like that. I think it looks a bit better. But yeah, Omar Marmoush, 22 million euros. I would assume Arsenal, if they go for him, 25 million pounds, 30 million pounds. Just screams wasted money, let's be real. Reminds me of the time we always were linked to Yusuf in history from Sevilla. Yeah, to be honest, if you think about it, if we had at the moment an El Nessieri at striker as a backup, as a second or third option, wouldn't be the worst one. Because, yeah, you could just launch crosses at him and he just could shield the ball and everything in that sense. But now I think that time has passed. We need someone a bit better than that, obviously. But it will be interesting to see who Arsenal go for, because if we are, let's just say by the January transfer window, very, very close to Man City, or we are at the top, or we are just 2, 3, or 4 even points behind, like let's say sitting second or third, I would think that it would stand to some logical point that Kroenke is actually give money for us to spend on a proper gunsman, to proper striker, backup for proper winger, and all that stuff, basically. That would stand to some logical reason. The thing is, will we be in that position? And if we are in that position, will they sanction the money? Because based on summer transfer window, I'm not too sure at the moment. In January, in general, we don't tend to do big businesses. Since we signed Aubameyang, when Wenger signed Aubameyang, mostly also because we kind of let Alexis go to United, we haven't done much in January at all. Yes, we have signed Jorginho and Trossard in one window, but Trossard was basically, as well, he was Premier League proven. It came out to be a great deal of business, but let's not forget that before we signed actually Trossard, we were 80 million balls deep in for Mudryk. Let's not forget that. He has tried to replace Martinelli on multiple occasions. Mudryk, Nico Williams, Pedro Neto. If we sign any of those wingers, let's be real, he plays on the left wing instead of Martinelli. We cannot forget that. What about Boniface? That is the big thing. Boniface. I was thinking about this during summer. Why we just didn't take a punt as secondary option for striker for Victor Boniface? I'm not sure why. Maybe Arteta thinks he's too similar to Kai Havertz, although he is not that similar to Kai Havertz, or what. But I was thinking about why we don't take 10 million chance on Guirassy, 30 million on Dovbyk. I would say about 30 to 40 million on Boniface. Why we didn't do that? That is for me big issue. Why we didn't do that? Or is it Wilfried Boniface? Sorry, it's Victor Boniface. For Nigeria, it's only Victors. Osimhen, Boniface, and from Sweden, obviously Victor with a K. Not with a C, but with a K, Gyökeres. So we are in the Victor market, if that makes sense. Quite ironic, because Victor comes from word victory. Well, we have a dog called Win, obviously, so might as well go for a victory up top, you know. Injury concerns, that could be the case, definitely that could be the case. But to be honest, given the fact that like half of our defense is injury prone, and our striker is injury prone, our midfielder is injury prone, there's like, obviously I don't want to sign injury prone players, but we have injury prone players all across the team. And we have signed them with not also subconsciously, but we have signed them with a purpose, and they have been injury prone. So that also doesn't stand to a reason how, why, when, and what. That is also a big thing. But I also believe that at some point, those injury prone players need to go. Because if you cannot depend on them consistently, as a backups even, this cannot stick, this cannot run. Our team is already as thin as you can imagine, 22 players only. And if you think about it, if your players, the backups, are injured many times, not even playing too much, just by training on international duty, and one of your main guys gets injured by the time you at the same time while your backup is injured, you're instantly screwed. You cannot at this level where we are at the moment with Arsenal, how Arteta has built the team to this level and to this extent. Injury-prone players are the biggest issues as well to some level. We cannot depend on them, and when small thin margins basically decide most of the things, that includes the title, that is one of the biggest reasons as well. It's bad enough that our squad is thin, but it's also filled with about 20 to 25% with injury-prone players, which at any given time, to a certain extent of time as well during the season, will be out. And they are already out, many of them, so that is also a big thing. Big up Troy in the chat. Arsenal will beat Atalanta. I would like to think so that we do. I'm not very confident that it will be a very easy thing, but we're gonna talk about that in a second. Yeah, Spurs are trash, let's be real. Our scouts need to also unearth some gems like PSG have found Ezri Dure, Bradley Barcola, obviously Ekitike, Zaire Emery, and stuff like that. One of, for me, biggest question still is, Edu is Brazilian. How comes we don't have scouts who find Brazilian gems? Because you all the time see, like, half of the Brazil plays in pretty much in Chelsea, let's be real. Then part of Brazil go to, obviously, Portuguese League, your Lisbon Sportings, Porto, Benfica. At some point, obviously about 10 years ago and stuff like that, they went to Ukraine, to Donetsk Shakhtar and stuff like that. The gems always go somewhere. The thing is, with Brazilian sporting director, none of those gems come to Arsenal. That is the big question. Why? Why we don't dabble in that market? If you actually have some connections there, actually quite strong connections, since Edu has worked also with Brazil national team. That is, for me, big reasons. Why don't we dabble in the Brazilian market, in South American market as a whole? Because if you look at for example, Man City, they signed Savio for 6.5 million sell-on clause and stuff like that, who cares? But they signed Savio for 6.5 million, while Arsenal, were just looking at him, scouting him at the time. Then they put him to Troyes, they loaned him out to PSV, then to Girona, and then they buy him from Troyes for whatever the money was. Same goes for Alvarez. What they pay for him? About 20 odd million. Now they sold him for quadruple value into 80 million. They have that guy Echeverri, or however you pronounce it, the guy who is gonna join them very, very soon. It's interesting, you know, we went to Brazil and returned the Spaniard. Basically, yeah, that's the mad thing. We have a Brazilian, he goes to Brazil, and he returns the Spaniard. How does that make sense? It's like basically Arteta going to Spain and returning with a Frenchman. Or Wenger going to France and returning with a German. Like, how does that work? Like, it makes no sense, but I guess it's the history of Arsenal in a way. Let's be real. But no to Marmoush. No to Marmoush. I'm sorry if you're an Egyptian fan, or Egyptian in general, or watching this. No to Marmoush at Arsenal. I'm just gonna put it out there right now. In other news, this was a stat that came out today by Premier League, which is a quite interesting stat if you ask me. Man City's win over Brentford on Saturday extended their home unbeaten run to 32 matches, level with the iconic Arsenal Invincibles. Now, for me, the biggest thing about this is, right, look below that Man City record at 32 games. It is Arsenal, and I think it's too small for you to read on the screen, but it says May 2003 till January 2005. That is the Invincibles. There was another run. If we didn't lose at home to Aston Villa, that run would be still going. We are unbeaten for quite some time. We actually could actually challenge that record once again. Our away form, to be honest, is better than home form, but at the same time, if we didn't lose to Aston Villa, we would be still on par with these things. And just to think about this, Man City, to be honest, if they draw or win against us on Sunday, they extend that. They might overtake 94-96 United, 98-2000 United. They might equal even their own record, which they set a decade ago. A decade ago. How mad is that? And obviously then there's quite a bit of a gap to Liverpool, and which Liverpool did basically just legitimately 5-6 years ago, which is kind of mad. And of course, the record that many Arsenal fans are screaming about, that Arsenal will beat Chelsea's 15 goal conceded defensive record for a season. I have seen so many Arsenal fans scream that, it's actually wild. I'm not sure from where they have found that chest from, let's be real, but somehow they are screaming that for a very, very large extent. United and FA ruined our 49 beaten run. We'd hit 50 if the refs weren't corrupt, losing to be honest, the Real record is going unbeaten. The games where we have been done over by refs, it's actually mad. And I'm not picking out I'm not moaning about it, but it's pretty much evident in certain games where we have been done over by refs in Premier League on purpose. I'm talking about back in the day. And more specifically, I'm talking about Champions League with Van Persie's red card. I don't even want to get into that, but if you know, you know. We have a very strong team now. Don't sleep on how... I'm not sleeping on how good we are. But the fact that, obviously, at the moment, with 4 games in, we have conceded 1 goal. That means that we are on the track, in a way, if we continue this, to technically actually beat that record. Because if we keep this 1 in 4 level still, right, it means we'll concede 10 or 11 goals throughout the season. Will we do that? No, we won't. We will concede more, in my opinion, because we won't be able, in my opinion, to maintain this level of intensity. At some point, obviously under George Graham, like we stink out 1-0 win, 2-1 win. Remember the song 1-0 to the Arsenal and all that stuff. We could try and do that this season, actually. Because the more I watch Arsenal, the more it reminds me of those days, in a way. Because we score a goal, and Arsenal have basically won the last 21 or something like that out of 22, 23 games. They have gone 1-0 up first. So there is something to that as well, as I'm speaking about this. But for now, I'm just keeping my head leveled, and I don't care about these defensive records. Win me a title and stuff like that, who cares about those records in that instance? If you actually beat that record, that comes as a nice bonus, let's be real. In other news, according to Kappa Watts has spoken on Caught Offside. And it looks like Arsenal have started the process, and it's still the process, of extending Gabriel Magalhaes's contract, which currently expires in 2027. The talks are in early stage, but the Gunners seem to be keen to retain the Brazilian. And to be honest, it was long overdue. Because, I have it somewhere here, because if we look at the salaries our players are receiving, this in general our team is getting, right? Let's not look at the overpaid players and stuff like that. You obviously won't be able to see, but I will indicate where is Gabriel Magalhaes. This is Gabriel Magalhaes. I think you should see that he is getting 100,000 a week. He's on 100 bags a week. Basically, he's getting the same amount as Tomiyasu, less than Jorginho, less than Tierney, less than Calafiori, less than Merino, less than Zinchenko. He is legitimately on 100 bags a week. How? I have no idea. Why is it taking so goddamn long to put him on proper wages? I also have no idea. Because he is arguably, since the World Cup, our most consistent performer. Together with Saliba. Obviously, you have bits and bobs, some mishaps here or there. The Bozo gene kicks in on him. But most of the time, him and Saliba together are our 2 most consistent performers in the team. Given our defensive record, given how we shut teams out, we don't even let teams have a shot against us at certain games and stuff like that. How he is only on 100,000 a week is actually a big mystery to me. I'm not gonna lie. Only 100 bags a week. That seems hella underpaid in my opinion, and that was long overdue. By the way, I don't know if you caught it, you probably didn't, but William Saliba is on 190 bags a week, 190,000 a week. If we are talking about contract extensions, right? Here are the latest news according to Miguel Delaney. Real Madrid are aiming to raid the Premier League next summer and sign Rodri, Trent, and one of Saliba or Christian Romero. This is a big one. If you want to keep Saliba at Arsenal and not let him go, there are two things you can do. First one, win the league this season and he's definitely not gonna leave. Second one, tie him down to more extended, bigger contract. One of the two things you have to do. Because Real Madrid will get, I would say, two of them. They won't get all of them, but I can see them getting two of them. Especially they will target Romero or Saliba in a way predominantly, in my opinion. Because although they could target right back as well, because all their defensive line is hella old in a way. Carvajal is about what? How old is Carvajal, by the way? Carvajal is what, 33 if I'm not mistaken. Danny Carvajal, yeah, he's 32, right? Carvajal is 32 years old. Rudiger is 32 years old. Alaba is 33 years old. So all of their back line, Mendy not so much obviously, all of them are pushing in mid-30s pretty much slowly but steadily. Which means they need to shape up their defense. They cannot afford to keep playing Chouameni at center back at times. Obviously they'll let Nacho go as well. He plays in Saudi now and stuff like that. So they are gonna go after Saliba or Romero. And this is a big thing. Obviously, in the North London derby as well, if you didn't catch that, if you didn't see, there were Real Madrid scouts in the stands scouting Romero and Saliba. And let's be real, the way Gabriel dunked on Romero didn't make him look good. And the way Saliba defended, it was like a more or less prime audition for Real Madrid pretty much, because let's be real, our defensive line was very solid. They did the job, they shut everyone out. And on top of that, let's be real, Real Madrid also will take into account that Arsenal had two of their main guys missing. They need to switch their tactics and they played completely different style. Because they all see all the time how Arsenal play controlling possession. This was one of those games where Arsenal play a different style to what they usually play. When they sit back, there were points where all 11 men were in our own final third. Bukayo Saka was playing right wing back, Martinelli left wing back, and all that stuff. And Havertz was playing also in midfield together with Trossard and everyone. So this was like a prime audition. He played, and they came to the right game to see that. That is the big issue for me. Genuinely, that is the big issue. If they want to see the next big game, they most likely will go to Inter Milan game away and Manchester City games. Both of those two games. The thing is, if we don't start winning and we cannot tie down Saliba to a new contract, we could be screwed. That is how I am seeing. Because if you are a player of your quality, the quality that Saliba possesses, and the quality he carries, the level he carries on himself at such a young age, if you don't start winning, and Real Madrid especially come knocking on your door, your head might be start spinning slowly but steadily. That is for me one of the biggest worries, because let's be real, Arsenal fans deserve this back line. If you remember the days when we had Mustafi, Socrates, Vermaelen, what else was there? Lichtsteiner, Johan Giroud, Sanderos, Squillaci, and all them men at the back. If you remember those days, 100% you deserve this backline. Because we have suffered enough in terms of defense, 100%. So in my opinion, definitely we deserve this. And to lose it in such a very easy way, the way it could happen, potentially looking in the future, would be very hurtful and very painful. Because let's be real, replacing Saliba to a certain extent is impossible. It is legitimately impossible. It took us nearly about 15 years to replace Sol Campbell. And we haven't Anthony Adams. It took us genuinely a decade and a half to replace those guys when the last time we won the title and everything. And from those days, let's be real, this is the closest defensive line we have to those days. Solid at the back, one cool, one genuinely erratic kamikaze in a way. Solid defensively, good going forward, great tackling, great positioning, good pace to recover and everything. So losing them would be very detrimental to Arsenal in my opinion. The question is, will Arsenal do enough to keep them when Real Madrid will come knock very, very seriously? Because whenever Real Madrid come for you, it's very hard to turn them down. Obviously, in that sense, as I said yesterday as well, I kind of wish Real Madrid signed Euro over United, because then they wouldn't look at Saliba, in my opinion. Now that since Euro went to United, it could get to a level where it's squeaky bum time for Arsenal in that instance. But it is what it is, I guess, at the end of the day. A picture, it's a very weird one. Jorginho in recovery mode. He is on a hyper chamber, whatever it's called, I forgot. He already needs an oxygen machine to recover. Played one game, he's already beat. That's kind of wild one, but it is what it is. And the big one for today as well. Real Madrid squad got announced. I'm not sure you can see the full squad. You cannot, so we're gonna do it like this. Real Madrid's main squad got a photo shoot, and here it is. You can see there's Ranieri, Kivior, Setford, Raya, Norbert, Tomiyasu, Skelly, Trossard, Sterling, Tierney. Looks like Nichols, by the way, Josh Nichols. Calafiori, Saliba, Gabriel, Merino, Jorginho, Timba, Politician. Looks like Havertz, Ben White, Jesus, Odegaard, De Gaffa, of course, Saka, Rice, Partey, and Martinelli. So this is our first team squad, with, interestingly enough, 3 youth players that have been promoted. We don't see that too often. We have Nichols, we have Ranieri, and we have Skelly as well. The big question is, how much game time will they get this season? That for me is the big question. It all remains to be seen. It all remains to see what's gonna come out of it. But so far, will be because yesterday, of course, the day after, 2 days ago, obviously when Yeri played, looked actually very decent. I'm not gonna lie. He had the cameo for about 15 minutes, and he looked very, very good, and that was kind of nice to see. But the fact that Nichols is there is very, very interesting. Very interesting. We have 3 youngsters in that first team photo. Skelly, Nichols, and Ranieri. Very, very interesting. Rest of the guys obviously are the casual guys, the usual ones. So it remains to be seen how much game time all of 3 of them will get. Ranieri in yesterday's game played more than he played in previous 2 years for Arsenal combined, which is kind of wild if you come to think of it. But yeah, it looks like it would look very, very decent. But speaking of Ranieri, it's a very nice segue to get into this. Atalanta, Champions League match preview. Arsenal versus Atalanta, since their home team, against Arsenal. Yeah, Atalanta currently are the reigning Europa League champions, which guarantee them a place in Champions League. They beat Bayer Leverkusen, who were undefeated by the time in their whole season, in cups, in league, and everywhere, and even in the Europa League. By then, 3-0 in the finals, completely destroyed them. Lookman had a game of brilliance, scoring a hat-trick. So the question is how good they are right now, because last season is one thing, this season is a completely different thing. We're gonna talk about more about them than we're gonna talk about us. Now this season, if we look at them, they have played, this was the last game they played. They played against Fiorentina the last game. They won 3-2. They were 1-0 down, then they made it 1-1, 2-1 down, 2-2, and 3-2. All of the goals they scored in the first half. Their squad, if you look at it, has actually some very decent players, like Carnesecchi is good, Rui Patricio, Scalvini, he's injured, Casonu on loan, Godfrey is injured, also on loan from from Everton, joined. Jimistic, said Kolasinac, remember the guy at Arsenal? Remember that dude at Arsenal who went for a punch-up to defend Ozil and all that stuff? And everything, obviously, can play left back, can play left center back and everything. Won Europa League last year. Good for him, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, very good for him. Toloi, who is one of their main guys at center back, which is very unlucky for them, lucky for us that he is still injured. He's expected to be back in about 2 weeks. So we are lucky in that department. They also have lost Koopmeiners. he went to Juventus, which is a good news for Arsenal in that regard. But they still have Martin de Roon. They have Ederson, which Ederson is a player I actually would entertain having at Arsenal. I'm not gonna lie, Ederson is a player I wouldn't mind seeing at Arsenal. He plays mostly as an 8 and as a 6, well, predominantly as an 8. But for that midfield spot, he has a massive engine on him. He can run for days. In Europa League final, he looked very, very good as well. So that is the big thing. I wouldn't mind seeing him at Arsenal. Let me know what you think about him, by the way, because not everyone speaks on them. Not everyone speaks on certain players also too much. But he's valued around 40 million euros, which is about 35 million pounds. And if Arsenal wanted to sign him, it would be about 45 to 50 million pounds, which seems quite a bit heavy extent of money. His contract runs out in 3 years as well. And they signed him from Salernitana for 23 million euros, which seems quite cheap because he has doubled in the value. However, Salernitana signed him from Corinthians for 6.5 million, which seems hella cheap. Corinthians is one of those teams that have actually very nuts production of young players and everything. But so far this season, he has 1 assist in 4 games. To be honest as well, Atalanta hasn't started the season very, very well. Compared to last season. Last season, 36 games, 6 goals, 1 assist. He played in Serie A every single game, except the game against Genoa where he had a yellow card suspension. So he plays every single game. And if you look at the time, he plays pretty much full 90 every single game. So he has a great engine on him. He's usually one of the best performers the team has, which is a very good thing in general. But yeah, would be very interesting. He gets actually called up to Brazil national team as well, which is a good and a bad thing if we were to sign him. But definitely last season he played 39 games as a number 6 and 14 as a DM. So he is more number 8. I messed that up. He's more of a number 8. And if you look actually at his injury history, it's actually nothing much to look at. Genuinely. Ankle problems, missed nothing because it was in summer still. And last year, missed 2 games because of hamstring muscle injury. Besides that, he has been pretty much injury free. And he's one of those guys who can pass, who can dribble, who can distribute the ball, who has a decent shot on him, who can press and run. His engine never runs out, which would be very interesting profile type of player to have at Arsenal, especially since he's a Europa League winner, which is very, very interesting. But for this season specifically, if we talk about Atalanta, as you can see, they are sitting 9th in the table, which doesn't speak too much about them at the moment. They have 4 games, 2 wins, 2 losses. They have scored 8 and conceded 8. The thing about it is, though, if we look at last season, which would be the proper measurements in a way, they played very good. They finished 4th in the league. 21 wins, 6 draws, 11 assists. 11 assists, what am I yapping about? 11 draws. 11 losses. Brains, work. They scored 72 goals, conceded 42 goals. So they concede quite a bit, but they score much, much more. They play very pressing and attacking football. And I really doubt they will try to change anything compared to when they're going to play Arsenal. And that is, for me, one of the biggest worries, because we're going to rotate, most likely, let's be real. To what extent, it all remains still to be seen. It could be a very open game, because Arsenal, with Rice being back, can afford actually to go forward and control possession now. Obviously, with Odegaard still being out, most likely Trossard or Havertz will play that 10 role. No, Wanjeri. I want Wanjeri to start in that role, just to see what is what. Because when Wanjeri came on for the 15 minutes against Spurs, he actually did very, very good. So I think he could be ready for that. But overall, we have the players to deploy now. Defensively, if we get Rice back as well, we don't have to suffer too much, so we can actually go forward. And if they press us, we can try to exploit the gaps and try to catch them out. That for me is one of the biggest things. It's going to be an open back forth action. It could be. It genuinely could be. Because the game they played against Fiorentina this season, it was also very open, very goal-scoring game. Obviously, it saw 5 goals in the first half, and obviously second half it was nothing, but it is what it is. But yeah, they did actually very good last season. They took every single team to the test. They're not afraid to attack, they're not afraid to shoot, especially if you give players like Lukman, like Pashalic, if you give them space, and they have just bought also Charles de Ketelaere from AC Milan, if you give them space, we could be in very deep ends. Obviously, our defense is very good and very solid, so we shouldn't be that worried about it, but they could catch us out on certain instances, definitely. One thing, as I said, I would like to see Ederson at Arsenal. That is one of those players I kind of would go after just in case. But yeah, Pashalic is balling out. They have Cuadrado, by the way, mad. But yeah, they bought Charles de Ketelaere for something 22 million, who is balling out for them. They have Zaniolo, and of course they have Lukman. Retegui is their main guy, especially due to the fact that Scamacca is out till April with ACL injury. He has ACL, obviously it says February 3rd, but with ACLs, obviously it takes some more extended period of time. So Gasperini has a bit of a trouble forward-wise, given the way that they have Gianluca Scamacca just joined and pretty much is out instantly. As you can see, they play 3-4-2-1, so they play very attacking formation that also can defend if you want to. Obviously, they play Kolasinac at center back, so that would be interesting to see how they're going to play against us. It looks like they also have... as you can see, this formation could actually be very interesting because they will try and force the ball through the middle, yet at the same time with Bellanova and Ruggeri, they will try to kind of catch us out wide. So that is very important, what kind of wingbacks we put out. With Zinchenko being injured at the moment, it's good news for us because he would get caught out by Lukman or even the Ketelaere quite a bit. The Ketelaere would outmuscle him like no tomorrow, and Lukman would outpace him and leave him back in Ukraine by the time he actually gets up to the speed. Obviously, losing Koopmeiners is a big loss, but Ederson together with Darun is actually pretty decent. But overall, it will be very interesting game. At the moment, Retegui has scored 4 goals, so that will be the danger man for them up top. The Ketelaere and Lukman have scored also by 1-1, and Bershiani they signed from, I think it was Lecce they signed him from, if my memory doesn't deceive me at the moment, has scored also 2 goals from midfield, so we definitely need to look at that as well. It is a bit of an iffy one. People say that we should win, and I totally agree that we should win. It's a must-win game. The thing is, I kind of get a feeling that people underestimate Atalanta to a certain extent. Because they finished 4th and everything, they haven't had the best start of the season, they might have hungover from last year when they won Europa League, Champions League is completely different gravy. You could say that. Yet at the same time, let's be real, there are no, per se, playing against an Italian team who knows how to dig in and do the job, definitely won't be as easy as people would like to think so. Definitely won't be as easy as people would like to think so. And if we look, to be honest, at injuries as well, if I can find them at the moment, suspensions and injuries, for the games, as you can see, Gianluca Scamacca is out. Scamacca is out with ACL injury till next year. Scalvini, the center back, is out with also an ACL. See how many ACLs, and he's only 20, by the way, till November 20. Oh, basically till the end of the year he will be out. The thing is, this is a massive loss for them because they have lost already 3 center backs. 3 center backs have been injured. Godfrey is still unknown when he's gonna be back, but Rafael Toloi is their main center back. He is out till the end of September. Scalvini is up and coming, one of the young talents of Italian center backs, and he is out with an ACL as well. So they need to do some makeshift type of defense for the team, which obviously is not playing very good for them. And in my opinion, that could help us big time. That legitimately could help us big time if we are quite direct when we go on attack. Because they have 3 center backs injured, and then they have to play. They loaned in Cassano last minute from Bayer Leverkusen, so they're gonna play him, for example, I think Hien, Jimisti and Kolasinac, or Hien, Jimisti, and Kosonu. They will play something like that. On the wings, since they play at the wing backs, they will have most likely Bellanova and someone else, because if you look at the play, they will have Bellanova and Ruggeri or someone else on the left side. They will have the double pivot, the two midfielders most likely of... I would say they will put Derun and Bershianini. Oh, they got... Or Bershianini. Or they will play Ederson. To be honest, they cannot afford to take many chances. So they most likely will play Ederson and Derun. One more defensive, one more box to box. And then they will let their attacking three do the work. And it's pretty much safe to say that their attacking three will be Lukman, the Catalair, and obviously Retegui. I could see maybe Lukman playing at striker and they start, for example, Zaniolo as one of the attacking center forwards. I can see also that potentially happening. But overall, Gasperini, just like Arsenal in a way, doesn't have too much room to maneuver in attack. Their midfield, their wide wing backs and everything, they have a space to operate. But overall, it will be very, very interesting to see what's gonna happen. Big up Pepper in the chat. Big up Zaniolo is he's a decent player, yeah. Zaniolo is a very decent player. And with the fact that Skamake is out, obviously, Retegui will be the main danger man. And for me, it will be Lukman, Retegui, and the Catalair. I think that will be the case. They will play most likely very similar starting 11 they played against Fiorentina, which they played on Sunday. So they also played on Sunday, by the way, which is kind of wild. But yeah, Retegui, Lukman, the Catalair. The Catalair played... To be honest, I kind of think they might put the Catalair up top and then play Zaniolo in the midfield. It will be a very I won't say that it will be a very scrappy game, but it will be a very open game potentially, because the way they play very pressing football. They play high press. They like to attack, obviously, and they also can defend. Plus, they have the Italian gene of defending in them as well. Gasperini has installed that into them to a very deep extent. So, given that the fact that they're gonna most likely play 5 at the back, and we all know how Arsenal are dealing with 5 at the backs usually, it might be a very, very interesting game where they try to attack us, and we will try to maybe exploit certain gaps they're gonna do when they're gonna try and overlap with the wing backs. We're gonna try and most likely exploit that, because with the double pivot midfield and the 3 center backs, it might be very hard for us to break them down through the middle. It will be very interesting to see how Kai Havertz, if he starts up top, fares with Hien and Kolasinac. But on the wings, definitely, no matter who starts on the wings for Arsenal, for left wing and right wing, 100% there should be an instance where we exploit that. Obviously, one-on-one, Martinelli or or Sterling or even Trossard against Kolasinac should work like a charm. And Bellanova and Kolasinac. Saka on the other wing, although Saka is still a bit doubtful for the game, by the way. Saka is a bit doubtful for the game still. Although they say it was only cramps and he should be available, I think he shouldn't start, just because we need to give him some rest before the City game. That's my opinion. So maybe we will see how that goes. But obviously, even if Sterling starts at the right wing against Ruggeri and Jimisti or whoever plays that left side, we should be good enough. And of course, if we look at Arsenal, our only issue is suspension and injuries. That is the only thing Arsenal are having to be worried about. I think we can nick this to 1-2-1. I think it will be 2-1 or 3-1 Arsenal. I think the thing is, I don't want us to concede. But the way they play and everything, the fact that we're gonna play we're gonna rotate our squad. It all depends just who we're gonna rotate, and we're gonna be just a bit burnt out after the Spurs game, and we're gonna kind of have also potentially City game in the back of our minds. It could be a bit scrappy. I'm not gonna lie, but I think it will be 2-1 or 3-1 Arsenal. If we look at our injuries, it is looking very bad. I'm not gonna lie. You see this, by the way? Mikel Merino, expected return date, October 28th. October 28th, that is his expected return date. October 28th. Wait. Wait. October 28th, right? So basically, he will come back. Yeah, he will come back before Newcastle game, if you can believe what they're saying. That is nowhere near what we got told by our medical staff and Mikel Arteta during reports that he will be back by the end of September. Remember those days? So that is already not that good of a look. It looks like he's gonna be a bit more than a month out. Tomiyasu, God knows when he's gonna be back. Odegaard, 50-50. We don't know still how injured he will be. What's gonna take that for him, how long he'll be out for. My guess is he will be out till end of November. That is my guess. Because if you take legitimately 2 weeks to announce an injury, definitely it is something not going well there. Because you could try to be sneaky, Maraefa and everything before City game. It means nothing. In that instance, means legit nothing. I said at the time that it was impossible he could be back. Exactly. November is optimistic for a fracture. It depends how the bone grows. Because if the bone grows quickly, depending on the crack, on the bend and everything, all that stuff basically, it could be done by end of October. It could be. But the way usually all these bones go and everything, it could be very long. Although there are reports that Mikel Merino was seen in David Raya's birthday party, right? Without cast and without sling. So that is something we can hold on to, and we have some copium in that regard, basically. Yeah, and what has happened to Tomiyasu? The Injuriyasu. Takehiro Injuriyasu. No idea. No. Basically, it feels that way. But yeah, Tomiyasu, God knows when he will be out. Odegaard, we talk. Calafiori as well. When is he gonna be back? It was a slight knock. He's gonna be back soon. And everything. It doesn't look that way, does it? It doesn't look that way whatsoever. So obviously this dumbass, the politician, got injured before the game against Spurs. So he will be out for quite extended period of time. So we're gonna see him back in about a month or two, of course. Zinchenko mysteriously disappeared from matchday squad. He wasn't even in the matchday squad. He wasn't announced because he got a calf injury, whether it was in a pre-warm-up or something like that, or the last training and he just didn't get announced till the squad got announced, the starting 11. I don't know. But it was pretty much instantly said by Arsenal account that he is injured. He has cough problem. That means he's out for another 2 months. Let's just say that. Tierney is a bit an interesting one. He has a hamstring injury. The thing about this is, though, he has been pictured in training, so he's kind of getting back, in my opinion. That is the only thing we can hold on to. And to be honest, I could see him play at some point this season. Although he most likely will get sold. By the way, speaking of Kieran Tierney, right? When does his contract runs out? His contract runs out in 2 years, so that is kind of safe. We have still time and chance to sell him for some money. Still have time to sell him for some money. I want Tierney to be honest, against Atalanta, why not? Although he hasn't played in about 50 years, but why not? Why not play Tierney? Why the frick not? Our left back options at the moment, based on these, right, is Timba, which I would rather not play and prepare him for City game. Because if you recall, when he played in Community Shield against City, he was fantastic when we just signed him. And as soon as we took him off and put Zinchenko on, we conceded a goal to make it 1-0 for City. Remember that? So that is something interesting as well. But only left backs we have, technically. Timba, Kivior, Tierney, potentially, and Skelly. Well, if you know, you know why I'm saying Skelly. If you know, you know. So basically, the only option, like out and out, which doesn't have an injury, is Timba and Kivior. We had 6 left backs when the Premier League kicked off. We are 4 games in and we have 2 left backs now. Hello? How did this happen? Not to mention the fact that none of the new left backs are available. Our new left back is injured. That is the worst thing about all of this. Because our right back is playing left back. Kivior is the only left back we have from the last year. All of the rest of the left backs are injured. How wild is that if you think about it, to be honest? How wild is that? But yeah, anyways, let's get into this. Build your own starting 11, create formation. Let's go Arsenal, whatever last year. We gonna adjust it anyways. So what we gonna do is build the squad for what we gonna build the squad? For the game. Yeah. For the game against Atalanta. Obviously, we don't have all the players, so I'm gonna type them in manually. I'm gonna put that out already. So, first things first. We can start. I think it was this, right? Yeah. We can start Norbert Neto. Oh, and the coach agrees with me. Let's go. Big up the coach. Big up coach. Big up. We can start Norbert Neto. Now, the defense is the iffy one. With all the injuries we have and everything, we don't actually have too much operating room in the defense, do we? Given that 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 7 defenders we have in the team are injured. Like, you cannot make this up. We have signed about 50 defenders, and it looks like Arteta was right because all of them are injured at the moment. How mad is that if you think about it? It's like he can see in the future. Anyways, can we even rotate this properly? That's the big thing. I'm sitting here now and thinking, who can we play where? And there isn't that much. Only thing I can see in this instance is this. That is the only thing I can see for tomorrow, for Thursday. Only thing. Because besides that, we have no defenders to sub on. No goddamn defenders to sub on. That is the big one. I'm not overrating Atalanta. I'm not even underrating Atalanta. I'm just saying it's not gonna be as easy as half of the Arsenal's fan base at least are making it out to be. They have the same chest and the same hype they have at the moment. At the time they had the same hype against Olympiacos. That went well. Against Sporting Lisbon, we all remember how that went. Against Porto, we all know how that almost went. Against Bayern, against Monaco, and against other teams. They have the same chest right now. So I don't think many fans in the fan base I'm not over-rotating the squad. I'm just thinking out loud at the moment. I'm genuinely just thinking out loud. That's the only thing. That is the only sub we can make defensively. That is what I'm saying. With all the defenders we have signed, all the defenders we have in the squad, only thing at the moment we can do is put Kivior at left back. That is the big thing. By the way, just out of curiosity, is there anything? Ben White, Tomiyasu, Saka, Merino, Jorginho, blah blah blah, Sterling. By the way, Aiden Heaven is in the main squad for Arsenal. I called him Nichols, my bad. It's Aiden Heaven is in the main squad for Arsenal. If you look at the picture, it's Heaven, Skelly, and Wanyeri, 3 youngsters, and Setford. 4 youngsters we have from the squad. Rest of them are not there, basically. Those are the only ones. Now, midfield, I'm gonna start Party. I'm gonna put in Rice because he needs some game time. He needs before City some game time for sure. I'm putting Rice in there as a number 10, and bear with me here. I'm putting, where is the guy? Whatever. I'm putting Ethan. I'm putting Vanieri as a number 10. Let's just say it's number 10. It looks like this at the moment. Saka comes out. Get him off. Get him legitimately off for at least one game in his goddamn life. And then we gonna put in for Nelson, we gonna put Raheem Sterling. Jesus goes up top. And on the left side, I actually would start Martinelli. I think that is a decent squad to start the game. I think that would be... Wait, I haven't even checked. So, we must rest Saka, obviously. I would start Vanieri in the 10. Yeah. Sterling on the right, Nelly on the left, Jesus up top. Your lineup's the same as mine. Yeah, great minds think alike, you know. That would be the starting 11 I'm putting out. Mostly because defensively, we have no room to operate. Because all the defenders we can operate with are goddamn injured. Obviously, I think the Calafiori's never will be assessed tomorrow, but all of them are injured, so there's nothing to do there. If we talk midfield-wise in this instance, Jorginho cannot start. Because, where is it? And I don't think you've seen this. He's on goddamn oxygen machine, or whatever that is called. One hyperbarics. He's already breathing extra oxygen. Played one game, already needs all this stuff. All this stuff. It's genuinely like having a 90-year-old in the midfield. Needs a pacemaker and everything. It's wild. It's genuinely wild. Even put recharging there. Good job, Grandpa. Good job, Grandpa. Legitimately. Already needs to be on respirator. Anyways. So Declan Rice starts because he got a time off. He said against the after Ireland game that he was also out of breath because he didn't feel himself. He's starting to feel better. So give him some game time. Maybe sub on Jorginho in the second half, but give him some time to get into gear before City game. Give Havertz a break. Why the hell not? He deserves it. Let's be real. Havertz is one of those that always flies under the radar. Yes, he gets slated and talked about quite a lot by Arsenal fans due to the fact he doesn't score enough, he wastes chances. Many times also that he makes runs nobody notices, although those are incredible runs that should be noticed. Even Odegaard doesn't see them, which really pisses everyone off, let's be real. At the same time, he presses, runs and does everything we need to do. So I think Vanieri should be starting, give him a break. Jesus starts just because, let's be real, came back from injury, had a cameo against Spurs, and I think he should be playing just he can get also into gear. Sterling must start solely on the reason that you need to give Saka a goddamn chance to rest. We cannot do the same thing we did last year when we basically run him into the ground. So by the game week 30, 31, he legitimately is slower than Thomas Partey on the pitch. He basically cannot run, he is out of breath, and his performances basically take a massive nosedive. We cannot afford to do that. Give him a rest for God's sakes, especially since he goes to every goddamn friendly with internationals and plays almost every single game you can imagine. Martinelli on the left side, mostly because he is the most viable option, in my opinion, to play against Atalanta, given that it could be, since they press, and if we get past that press with some passing and everything, we could get in behind. Even though since they play 3 at the back and everything, I think Martinelli's pace could work wonders there. Could legitimately work wonders. Yes, there could be argument to play Trossard there, but I would start Martinelli because for me it will sound very, very direct and very, very kind of blunt, but this is do or die season for Martinelli for me. Because for me, out of all of our attacking options, he is the one that is the most expendable one. Since he already has been tried to be replaced by Arteta 2-3 times in the transfer windows before. So for me, he is the most expendable one. At least the way Arteta sees it, in my opinion. Because Jesus is like his love child, so he doesn't move. Martinelli could be the one that is kind of out of sorts in a way. So he needs to prove himself, so he might actually get into games to get some proper time. He might do that. Let's see what he does. Maybe he can kick into gear before City game as well. Maybe, just maybe, who knows. But at the moment, Martinelli's confidence is straight in the gutter. He needs some goals. He needs some good attacking work. Needs some points on the board basically to get at least some his confidence back, take on defender, get past him, to basically build solely up his confidence. Because at the moment, even if he can take on his opponent and get past him, when he gets in the chance to shoot it, you could see that his confidence in finishing legitimately is gone, almost gone, because the decision making, the way he positions him in the shot, you can just see in his eyes that he just doesn't have the confidence. Doesn't have the confidence anymore as he used to have. Although I may be even tempted to rest White if Calafiori is fit. If Calafiori is fit, yes, I would maybe play Timber as a right back, and Calafiori I would play as a left back. Random guy. If Calafiori is fit, I would maybe entertain this option for sure, definitely. But at the moment, given that we don't know, we need to do what we know. And basically we need to go to what defense we have, especially since all the defenders we could possibly rotate with are injured at the moment. So we need to stick with this back line as it is. Midfield, it's Partey and Rice. I don't see much more options. Unless somehow Mikel Arteta does this weird thing. Wait, give me a sec. Unless Mikel Arteta does this. Puts Rice as a 6, Havertz as an 8. I'm not rushing anyone back. Legitimately, I'm not rushing anyone back. I'm just saying, if he's cleared medically and Arteta could try and rotate, that could be an option. I'm just speculating here. I already showed you my starting 11 I want to see. This is just speculation that potentially could happen if something this is all based on many ifs, let's just say that. Yeah, basically, if pigs fly and everything from the series, once in a blue moon and all that stuff, when hell freezes over, and when monkey types a Hamlet and all that stuff, basically. But I can see also this to some level. Maybe, just maybe. Although it looks very weird. But yeah, for me at the moment, this is the starting 11 I am going with for the game. This is the starting 11 I'm going with for the game against Atalanta. Hopefully something of that comes true. It will be very interesting. Will Arteta start Norbert Neto? That is the big one. Because there's no use in signing him if you don't use him. Especially since he is cup-tied in Carabao Cup or FA Cup, I don't remember now. One of the cups he's cup-tied in England at the moment. But he can play in Premier League, so that is kind of good, if needed, because it doesn't look like he's gonna play there. Raya pretty much is a distinct number 1, and Neto, if he plays, will get random games here or there. Oh, it's Carabao Cup, so he can play in FA Cup, so that's kind of good. That's kind of good. Unless we get in FA Cup Bournemouth instantly and Raya has to play. But yeah, this is the starting 11 I'm going with. I'm going for 2-1 or 3-1 win for Arsenal. I think it will be a very hard game. And not due to the fact that we have rotated, due to the fact that we just played on Sunday and they also have played on Sunday, but solely due to the fact the way they play and they want to play. Obviously, in a way, the way they want to press and they also want to attack all the time, the way Atalanta play, it plays to our strengths to a certain level. I'm not going to tell you that much, but the big thing is, Atalanta played this 5 at the back type of thing with Ruggeri or Bellanova in this instance holding the back line with Darun and Ederson in double pivot when they defend, right? We don't do that good against 5 at the backs, do we? Based on past experiences. We don't do that good against 5 at the backs. So that for me is the big question mark. Can we break down their 5 at the back? If Arsenal starts to hold on to the possession like we do in Premier League, take the ball away from them, take control of the game, and they basically sit back and they're going to try to hit us on a counter with Lukman, the Katalaer, Pasalic, Retegi and all them stuff. Although those players on a counter sound very deadly, so we need to be careful, by the way, when we overlap or invert and all that stuff. But overall, yeah. It will be very interesting to see what Arteta does and what Arsenal do. But I'm going for 2-1 or 3-1 Arsenal. I cannot decide. I'm going to go 2-1 solely because due to the fact that we played on Sunday. Obviously, they played as well, but we rotated. We will rotate most likely some players. We had to travel there, and we will also, in a way, play in such a way that we get the job done. Yet at the same time, prepare for Man City game. Oh, by the way, I want to say also this: we were not in Champions League for 7 years, right? And at the moment on social media, I'm reading Arsenal fans saying that we should bin this game against Atalanta and focus fully on Manchester City. I'm not gonna get deep into it, I'm not gonna say anything about it too much, but all I'm gonna say is that that statement alone, for countless Arsenal fans I have seen, means and just shows where is our fans' mentality in terms of winning, competing, and going for the best. That is all I'm saying on this. Because 7 years without Champions League, slating and cussing Mikel Arteta for that, Emery for that, even Arsene Wenger for that, and now that we are back for the second year finally, you have the nerve to say, bin the Champions League game. Who the hell cares? Focus on City. Not gonna lie, go check yourself. Genuinely, go check yourselves if you are in that type of mentality. Sorry, not sorry. I just had to get it off my chest because it was really getting on my nerves the way I was seeing this in the morning. One of the first things I read on social media, that was this morning alone, and that just got on my nerves to a certain extent, I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, guys, on that note, I'm gonna end it here. You have been freaking fantastic. If you're new around here, smash that like button. Definitely helps a lot. Takes just a second. Helps the algorithm and everything. Spread the stream and video around. If you're watching this as on a playback, of course, leave a comment. Smash thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell. Big up Coach, big up Henry, big up Pepper in the chat. Who else joined us today? Big BX Gunner, Troy. Big up everyone who dropped by. You have been freaking fantastic. Take care. Stay safe. Have a great evening and see you all tomorrow.